This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been presented by the Helloa Financial Group. Paul Helloa and his team can help you out with your insurance and investment needs. Or if you are a company that is looking for a benefits package, Paul Helloa can help you out. Check out all of their services that they provide at helloafinancial.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stickers and Scuffs. We're being the host this time to the driver in deep boys from Wingnut Sports. Mark McSporran and Alex Nagy are here. Welcome in, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Very good.
We're great. Crossover experience.
Yeah.
Finally. Thinking about it when we had you guys on, can't speak for you and for Graydon and Cam K, but me and Mark were rookies.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's some things never change. I think we still got our yellow stripes on too. There is a learning curve though, we'd like to think. Albeit it might not be too steep, but we'll see. So, yeah, how are you boys doing? How's the off season been treating you?
Good for me.
Yeah? Looking forward to getting going?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get going, but I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I was fishing there a little bit, but
we couldn't tell.
What's going on with you, Mark?
I can't wait for things to get going too. Today, after a day like today, it really makes you start thinking about getting out there at the track. It really does. And also the disc golf course. I'm not going to lie. Get out there and play some disc golf too.
Yeah, and to be honest, little red on the cheeks today because I volunteered a while ago, and they called me on it. Volunteered to go to Delaware and put the new scoring loops in.
Oh, nice!
So I was at a racetrack today, so it's great.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Got to ask Alex, how's the place looking? Because it's gone through a bit of a change since we were there last year, and obviously it's a very exciting change. But how does everything look?
Good. I mean, it's always coming out of winter. No property looks great, but the work they did looks good. I think the track, they retained a whole bunch of character, and I think it's going to get them a second groove again, or groove and a half, and the concrete's still on the bottom and both ends, and it's a little bumpy, and I think they've retained all the characteristics, yet will improve the racing, if that makes sense.
Quick sidebar, as kind of a construction and road guy, what is the actual process of putting the scoring loops in?
Well, a quick cut saw, chalk line, and it's not major. I mean, it's just
not rocket appliances.
You have to. I mean, I'm a little fussy, so you want to make sure you cut it straight.
Yeah,
and then go 3/4 inch down, and it's really just a wire you lay in. And today was a perfect day with the sunshine. We got self-leveling caulking in there, and it seals everything up. So now it's just got to be tied into the coax that goes up to the tower, but the hard part's done.
Cool. Just wanted to know that. That's neat.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started on the actual podcast itself, because you guys you started right around when we did. Actually, it was kind of funny that we kind of both kind of popped out of nowhere, and all of a sudden now we've got a couple more people that are doing podcasts. But how did you guys come together to decide that you were going to do this, and how did you guys first meet?
You can tell the story, Scooter.
Well,
I'll give you the stage this time.
I think we've already gone through the long version of this a few times anyway. So, I met Alex at the track when I was working for him. My wife, Joni, worked there, and on race weekends, I helped out. So, first job I had, I think, was the campground. And, I didn't know how crazy it was about to get. It certainly was. But you know what? It was great. Over the years, I've met so many great people there at the campground. But the way I met Alex was there was, I think, a little bit of an altercation going on in the back 40 over 15 amp and 30 amp service, I believe.
That's the first Pinty's race in 17 when we got the Ortho race. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that, Alex? When because I heard Sandy on the radio going, "There's a scuffle going on in the back," and
Oh yeah.
you're right.
That was good.
Yeah, so I radioed and I said, I'll take care. I figured I should because I'm taking care of the campground. I should go try to take care of this, but they were all good in the end. It turned out just fine. Something Alex didn't need to go. Yeah, but that's how we met, because after you came and thanked me for doing that, and I said, well, I think that's kind of my job, but thanks for telling me that.
Yeah, no, that was the start. Yeah, of course I knew Joni first. And met Mark by default. Still like Joni, don't really care much for Mark.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. One day when you beat me in disc golf, you probably like me more.
Yeah, well, if you stop playing for 6 months, and I can catch up to your experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been working a lot, guys. Over the last few months, things are starting to come back, and that means it's like full speed ahead for me at work. And so I've been traveling a little bit, and there was a week off there too. I went to a wedding in Punta Cana, and it was nice to get away. And now, hopefully with the nice weather, I won't have to travel as much.
You forgot second part of the question, Mark. They asked how we started the podcast.
Oh yeah, well I thought you were going to touch on that.
Okay, so during the pandemic, we're having a campfire at our place, and a few hours in, like normal, I start telling racing
few of those
because I have a hard time talking about them before I have a few pops. And after about the third time, he said, "You need to start telling these stories, man. They're great." And I thought to myself, just because Mark likes them doesn't mean anybody else will. But so that was it, and we ended up Mark said, "Let's do a podcast and you can spew your guts." So that's what we did. It's been fun.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to give you guys a little inside scoop here. Every guest that we have on the podcast, before we start to record, we always give them a little rundown of about what we're going to talk about, and just to make them feel a little comfortable and so on. And every single one of them, I say, and if you have stories about Alex, please make sure that there's no boundaries here. But I don't know what it is. I swear Alex already has those conversations before I get to it. And I'm whether or not there's money exchanged, I don't know. But it's really hard to get people to give me the dirt on Alex.
Well, everybody says you're the smart one in the group, but guess what? Maybe not so smart.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, it's funny because it's podcasting in motorsports seems to be like it's really hit with the Dale Jr. download and door bumper clear is kind of where it started. And now all of a sudden it's starting to take over here as well. I mean, we have it's funny, you go back a couple of years and there really wasn't much, and now all of a sudden it's like there's new podcasts popping up all the time. When it comes to what topics you guys want to discuss, how do you guys come about deciding which guests you're going to bring on, or what race topics you're going to bring up, and what hockey topics you're going to bring up?
Well, hockey's easy, of course. Everybody's heard that.
Over my shoulder
actually,
there.
I mean, the hockey stuff, believe it or not, is how we talk. Normal life. I mean, we're on each other's ass all the time, so that's easy. And
Never give in.
As far as guest goes, for the most part, that's my job. And
yeah,
I think so far, we've had, almost every guest that I've known for a while. So the topics are easy. It's just a matter of trying to remember, trying to get, think back about some of the times on the road if I raced with that person or worked with them somehow. But yeah, so, when you know somebody, it's a bit easier, for you guys, not knowing everybody, these guys do a hell of a job. It's
nice.
It's never easy. I mean, it's never easy. Even when you know somebody, you want to make sure you don't miss anything important, right?
Yeah, and we have a really good workflow now. I think we're just about to do our 50th episode, and what usually happens is that Alex, because of his personal relationship with the guest that we have, he can write really great questions that I would have no idea to ask otherwise. And he also does a bio on every guest we have and includes links and so on. So I kind of take the tech part from after we record, and I do all the back end work and so on. But Alex prepares all that for me, so I get such a great head start on learning about this sport. And I mean, I don't make any bones about the fact that I'm still consider myself a new fan of the sport. And I am so lucky to have, the opportunities to learn like I do from Alex and from our guests. I mean, some of the guests, if I was a fan, it might be harder for me because I might be a little more intimidated. But we've had so many great guests on the show that Alex has raced with or been a part of in the industry somehow. And some of these guys have, reached pinnacles of this sport, and it's fantastic. I'm so lucky to have learned what I've learned from these guests, and it seems to really work for us now that we have a good workflow in place.
Yeah, we kind of relate to that, I think, and in some aspects, the like Cam is definitely all the technical part of it. We both have the passion for sure, but I mean, I was kind of around a little bit like when I started bringing the boys to the track, and we'd just kind of hang around and watch where we could, when we could, and everything. And then people would eventually just sort of like notice you and like say, "Hey, come on over." They give you a hero card or whatever. And then, like I said, like that holds true in particular with the Steckleys. I mean, I'm chronicling. We're going to have an awesome wall here in the fan cave one day of like right from when Scott was crouching down, and when our shop tour episode comes out, you'll see like Owen and Scott are just about dead even in height now. So, I mean, having my kids growing up literally on the Pinty series in particular, but Canadian motorsports, we've kind of kept it close to home, taking them to the tracks and stuff. And that's kind of what paved our way. But what made us want to do the podcast was stuff that I just want to ask when they don't have time to answer. When you guys are thrashing on cars and getting ready to go out there and wheel it, you don't want to go over and ask them all the stuff that we tie up half an hour doing. So that was kind of where I came from on it. And I mean, Cam, you can speak for yourself, but I think your stuff already does. I mean,
I have no idea what I'm doing. So passion and
like raw talent for this stuff, like out the wazoo. So, I mean, I'm a lucky guy too. So
that makes four of us. And I think, Cam, and all joking aside, I mean, I think that's part of it being just real and good.
Yeah.
I don't think I know you two guys don't, and me and Mark talked about it from the start. We don't want to be anything we're not,
Right.
We don't make up the fighting about hockey and stuff because that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm sure it's about to start any minute now, really.
Yeah, I just realized.
Sabres and Leaf games on as we record
here. Oh
man,
we appreciate your valuable time. We won't go too far into the night.
Oh no, it's all good.
Hat for this.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that too. Like we're all branded up here too, eh?
Our good buddy Stephen Ellis at the game tonight, and Stephen Ellis had a fantastic quote that I had to say this because it was quite funny, and it was called the Buffa Slugs. He hasn't seen any of those out in the stands, so I absolutely loved that.
That to me sounds like somebody's bitter.
He works for the Hockey News. He's just telling it as it is.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about your show is that you guys are able to you talk about stuff that's it's not like racing all the time. You talk about the stuff that actually legitimately friends talk about, and you for whatever reason there's support for the Sabres. I mean, I'm just going to throw that shot there, but no, I'm curious actually, Mark, where's the love come from for the Sabres?
Well, it's pretty easy. I grew up in St. Catharines, born in '66. Rick Jenneret started calling games for the Sabres on the radio in '71, and really my memories. I remember listening to him making calls about the French Connection. And I couldn't help but become a fan of the Sabres because of that. And, being only, it's closer to Buffalo than it is to Toronto from St. Catharines, there's quite a number of Sabres fans in the area. And it was a natural thing. Rick Jenneret, really, we talked about it on our podcast last week. He was part of my life up until now, every single year calling these games. And, we also noted that it's time after 51 years. He had difficulty this year, you could really tell. And it's sad to see him go, but, I'll be a lifelong Sabres fan as a result of that. And you guys know, you have your teams, and through the good times and the bad, you just, you keep plugging away. And, luckily, we've had way more good times than bad times when it comes to playing Toronto. So,
Yep.
We'll see tonight, but...
Well, it's funny because you brought up that's such a great point, because you want to know one of the main reasons that I got hooked into NASCAR right away was Alan Bestwick's call of the 2002 Daytona 500. He and Benny Parsons-Wally, that's what hooked me. It was the very first race I ever watched, but it was their calls. And it was Benny Parsons going, "Oh no, he can't do that," when Sterling started to pull on the fender of the car. And that's such a cool point that you brought up, because it's so true how announcers can literally make you a fan. Like that excitement that they can bring. Rick is one of those guys that no matter what, when he's on it, like, he gets you pumped up. No matter if you're a fan of the Sabres or not, it's the excitement of the game, right? Joe Bowen's, for Toronto, for example, right? Gets you all pumped up, right? And that's what can make fans. That's why we love Adam and Clinton for what they do. Adam and Dave as the combination. For years, it was Ron St. Clair with Pat or Billy. Like they helped bring new fans in. And it's so cool that actually had that connection with hockey as well. And I never really had thought of that until now. So that's great. What do you think about the combinations between sports kind of coming into each other? So we talked about Michael Jordan being an owner. Obviously you've got Money Mayweather, who's become an owner. Well, I'm curious. We've seen Brian Campbell, who's a former Sabres. He's been at the games. He's been at an NASCAR Pinty's race before. He's flown the green flag. Would you ever consider? Would you think that in Canada maybe we can get a hockey star to be a team owner?
I don't know. What's Wayne Gretzky up to these days?
Bet MGM.
I know he's doing commercials right now.
I think
it's hard to say.
I just don't think anything should be forced. And but you never know. I mean, they have to be a race fan, I think difference. I mean, I think a lot of hockey players. I know a bunch of hockey players. They don't know much about motorsports. It's as simple as that. And it's unfortunate. And I think that, that's the same as corporations or whatever. One battle that we always have as people in the industry is to continue to showcase the sport and get people exposed to it. And to me, it starts with the kids, because you don't know what kids are going to become. And you become a fan, a lifelong fan as a kid. You can become a fan older, obviously, but I think kids are the key for our industry.
No question about it. If you can't get to the future generation now, you're not going to. I mean, just look at some of the programs they do to try to get kids involved in hockey, like with Tim Hortons and all these. You have to get to them when they're young. I mean, I remember living in St. Catharines. The Sabres used to do training camp in St. Catharines so the kids could go out and get to watch NHL players for free. While they during preseason, and teams do it all the time. There's so many programs for kids right now, and I can't speak obviously for the marketing efforts going on in motorsports, but I really hope they're paying close attention to that.
Yeah, I mean, NASCAR, in my opinion, sorry, Grady, but NASCAR, in my opinion, is the poster child for that, because when things were so easy and you just had to open the gates and count your money and fill the stands, they forgot about a generation. Now they're battling. And, during that time and before that time, I think NASCAR was the industry setter. I'm not so sure they are anymore, but they've lost. I mean, they're doing a hell of a job fighting back, but when things are easy, you tend to stop working. You think you are, but you're not. And all of a sudden, it's not easy getting fans anymore, and you wish that you would have, missed that didn't miss that whole generation of kids.
Yeah, it's 100% fact. I was just going to say, I do, our company does a fair bit of work for a certain hockey family that they're real good friends of ours and old customers. And let's just say I wear my 88 and he wears his, and we have our fun little banter about that. So, and his dad too. I was just there today. I actually dropped a load of sand, or a half load of sand, off to him, but,
you must be talking about Nylander.
Sorry, Cam, go ahead.
Well, one of the things we guys talked about, like marketing to kids, one of the, I think, easy things to do is market a brand that kids would be receptive to. So first off, you think Kyle Busch with the M&M's car. Lots of kids are going to love that because it's a candy car, right? This is why this was my first favorite driver, was the Iceman Terry Labonte, because he drove the Kellogg's car, and at the time it just had a giant Tony the Tiger on the hood of the car, right? But I think a lot of that we've kind of I think, Graydon, we've actually had this conversation before, where it's like a lot of the companies that come in now, really, you're right, like kids have no idea what like highpoint.com is, right? If it would be like back in the day, we had EA Sports that was on cars, right? And they did video games. So like there was already that connection.
There's a lot of business to business going on.
Exactly.
Now.
And not enough of the small, like, so when you had Larry Jackson driving the Wonder Bread car, I mean, people absolutely loved that because it was not only a tie to the Talladega Nights movie, but every kid knows what Wonder Bread is, right? So, how do we posed that question about trying to do that, but how would you go about it? Because it's not easy.
Oh, it's not. And I'm not putting all the blame on NASCAR. I mean, the key is times are changing, and it's more difficult to have those relatable things. But one thing we can do that I always focused on is that you don't have to have a brand on a race car per se to have a kid have a good time at the racetrack. When we installed our playground at Jukasa, it went from Friday move in for camping and nobody cared till all of a sudden the kids were hanging off the fence waiting for me to open it so they could come play in the playground on Friday. And that's when I knew it was worth the $27,000 because unfortunately we never got to keep it rolling, but that was going to become every kid's dream, was to come to the racetrack, camp with mom and dad. They might not have ever seen a race, or not all of the races, but they could have played all day. And one thing a kid remembers is having a good time and where they had it.
Yeah.
And a certain percentage of those kids will become race fans.
Great philosophy.
We became those race fans.
Absolutely. So did my kids.
I grew up at the ballpark, but it really wasn't much different. I became a ball fan by playing underneath the bleachers while the games were going on, because we could do all that and watching, the pitchers warm up from 3 feet away. It's the same kind of thing. You have to get to these kids now in a way that you can. And, and that includes technology. I mean, kids that are 5-6 years old now know how to use social media. I mean, it's crazy, but that's what's happening. iPads and the whole bit. So if they find a way to get to them, and also a lot of cross marketing, like you were talking about, Cam, you have to cross market with different successful people and different brands. Because if, Justin Bieber likes NASCAR, then, so are a million other kids. So celebrity endorsements now are going through the roof.
Yeah. And at the grassroots level, just thinking about what you said, Cam, or Graydon, about branding on cars. That's true. But I can think, we're all thinking back when I went to Merrittville Speedway or Humberstone Speedway or Speedway Park with my dad, and he would drop me off at the front gate and he'd head to the pits, and I'd play all by myself all the time. I became a race fan. There was no Wonder Bread on a car. There was no EA Sports. You know, I can think of Larry Benjamin. He was like a 7-foot tall guy in a mini stock. And it's like he unfolded himself to get out. So as a kid, I'll never forget that. And he had rabbit ears over his number 16, Bugs Bunny. And, you know, it's just small things that you have to remember. I don't believe you have to have major branding. You just have to get kids there and then get them excited about something.
So we saw it when we went to Jukasa when I went in 2019. And I just remember all the kids were gravitating to Julia Landauer and Chantal Kalika there. So having, again, a wide variety of drivers, maybe it's a little more intimidating for kids to try and go up, for a young girl to go up to like a 40-year-old guy for an autograph, but they see, you know, a young girl there, it's a lot more comforting. Right. And so we've mentioned that in the past. So there's a lot of things that, you know, we can go out there. One of the biggest things I think for us, I mean, the amount of die casts that were available as a kid, like you had 15 types of like brands of NASCAR race cars that would be made, whether it was Hot Wheels or Matchbox or Lionel or Action, you know, and you had so many racing champions, Winner's Circle, you know, so there's so many available. But now I think you also got like, there's no, I mean, kids can't really go to our local department store here and pick them up like we used to. Like I used to spend all my allowance at Zeller's because that's where all the NASCAR cars were.
I did too, but I was sitting in the canteen.
Where they poured you milkshakes in the glasses there? Yeah.
Fries and gravy.
Yeah, fries and gravy.
But you're right. You're right, Cam. I mean, but I guess I always get back to the same thing. I don't like to look back. You're right. But one thing I know, we're not going to have that kind of product at the stores anymore. So we know all this stuff. Forget about it. Move on and figure out different ways to make a connection. It's not going to be how we connected. That's okay. The problem is when you don't figure out a way to connect in today's world, then you're in trouble.
That's literally it. I mean,
you can't keep worrying about the past. It's the past.
Yeah.
Today's world is only today.
Yeah.
Today's world is only today. Tomorrow, it's, you know, things are changing again. So you have to keep on top of it all the time. You do. Hey, can I ask you guys a question about your? I saw your video with Greg McPherson, and great job, by the way. And he's always an entertaining guest. We've had him on our show as well. And, you know, obviously you guys had him on to talk about Motorama and, you know, the date change this year and the whole bit. And I heard Greg talk about the Champions event that they had going on. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Alex, did you catch it yet? Or
no, but they have it every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read about it this year, but yes, they've always had that.
So anybody that's been a champion, I guess, in 2020 or 2021, if you've been a champion anywhere, as long as what was the criteria? You had to be Canadian, and it had to happen at a Canadian track. Is that? It doesn't matter what age or.
Nope.
No.
I believe it's.
I think that was the only criteria. So I guess that means that I would qualify with my victory at the Niagara Speedway. Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
because I know he said there's plaques available, and you know. It's a big
you better
event.
get your tux ready, Mark.
So, you know, I'm a champion, and it happened in 2021. So is that something I sign up for, or do you have to nominate me?
I hope you don't have to be nominated because you'll be in trouble. You come a bit short, but I'll tell you
nominate yourself, Mark.
I'm not sure what happened.
I'll text
sorry, my earphones just went out. I didn't hear that answer.
Sure. We make mistakes and we're not on video and it don't matter. Now here we are in the public's eye and you're showing our crappy equipment.
Yeah.
And you're worried about a trophy for the Niagara Speedway.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, I technically qualified and we're going to have a little chat with Greg. That's all. But no,
the sponsor of the event this year, guys, is at Fast Eddie Speedway.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll talk to those folks and see if you qualify. I bet you don't.
Well, you know, I don't know. To me, it sounds like I met the criteria. But in all seriousness, you guys had a big scoop on your podcast this week. Jacques Villeneuve going to Trois Rivières. Is that right? Did I hear you guys talk about that?
Did we?
I don't believe we did.
Yeah, I think you did. If you listen to your podcast.
I think maybe Greg spoiled that.
Great. Oh, okay. I thought that was.
No, we don't spoil things. No.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't do that.
Well, no, I think
first time.
Yeah. No, we're trying not to. We've been made aware of stuff before, and I'm telling you, it's an awesome feeling to know stuff, but it is also the worst because you have to keep it in.
Yeah, Cam, I'm just kidding with you because Greg did mention it, and the look on your face when he said it, it was pretty clear. Yeah, it was that look right there.
Well, that's cool. I mean, Jacques been in the series before, but it's nice to have him back.
It's what you need, though, right? I mean, I don't want to. The more eyes that you get on the series, the better, right? Like the reality.
Dominic and his crew up there, they always have a star French Canadian of some sort. Do a heck of a job, and nothing would surprise me. There was times they had Tag Lanny there before Tag was full time in the series, and Patrick Carpentier, and they just do a nice job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as we've kind of mentioned, there's some names that potentially, I think we definitely got to see if we could get in Toronto, because I mean the IndyCars are coming back this year. There's a Canadian that's not in a IndyCar ride. I mean, I think it would be a kind of a huge thing if they were able to get Hinch into a ride for the Pinty series, at least. What would you guys, would you guys be in support of seeing Hinch motor around in a Pinty's car?
Well, I think it'd be great for the fans.
Exactly.
Less, but I think it'd be cool. And they're Toronto guy racing in Toronto. I mean, promoter's dream. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah, good storyline.
Well, we have one other thing that we're gonna get into here, but you guys are both, you've had a lot of guests on the show. I'm curious what if there's one that stands out to you. Obviously, Alex, you kind of a lot of them, but for you, Mark, because it is new for you and you haven't really interacted with the guests as much. Is there one that particularly stands out to you as like, wow, what a fascinating, part? Like we've both experienced that on our show. And it's like afterwards, I remember when we were talking with Ryan Vargas from the Xfinity series, and we both like looked after each other like, wow, what a mature guy, right? For like his age and stuff. And we were blown away with some of his answers. So is there somebody that sticks out to you, Mark?
I think, I think there's two people, and the first one is LP Dumoulin, and the reason why for me is because I haven't met almost all the people on the list of guests that we've had, and I had the opportunity to meet LP Dumoulin when he won at Delaware, and he was in the middle of I don't know how many interviews, and I was there with Alex, and Alex said, and he took the time, he left what he was doing to come in and say, hey, thank you so much for coming. He just won. I mean, he's over the moon, right? And he took the time to shake my hand, really nice, but sincere. Like when people are sincere and when they're not sincere. And, it's really hard because we've had so many great guests, but because I can put that personal connection to that one, I would say, the one who I got lost in the stories the most would have been Norris McDonald.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The stories that he could tell, or that he did tell, I mean, going back to the very beginning of Indy, I mean, it's crazy.
That guy can paint a hell of a picture, can't he?
He can. And so I was super impressed with him. And also, how can you not be impressed with Kenny Wallace? I mean, just how dynamic he is. And I really didn't know what was going to come out of his mouth. Like there's some things, you
never know.
We really, but I also don't want to leave out some of the young kids, because even, we had Ray Morneau on last week, and 21 years old, very well spoken, has a really good head on his shoulders and understands where he wants to go and how he wants to do it. very respectful, nice kid. And I find that has been the same with all the young kids that have been on the racers, like 16, 17. Kyle Steckley, another one.
Yeah.
Very well-spoken
Trey
kid.
Lapsovich on your show, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said to Alex, I bet you almost every single time after the show, what a great guest. And like, honestly, I don't think we've had a dud, to be honest. And if it was probably Alex and I that didn't do our job properly. It wasn't the guest. But no, we've had so many great guests. We really have. But they're just
basically every time that we come up or I come upstairs after the show, Jessica always is like, "Is that the best one ever?" Because like every time I come up, I'm always like, "Man, that was like the best show ever." And it's always like that's the gift that keeps on giving with this podcast gig is that we get to. I mean, off seasons are long enough, but I mean, we get to spend it and throughout the season talking to people that we idolize and like I said, it's all stuff that we just wanted to know anyways, that they actually make the time to come on, and just the same as you guys. Before we wrap it up, I was going to say we are all branded up. You guys are looking pretty spiffy in your Wingnut sports gear there too.
Yeah,
we should do a hat trade
nice.
off.
You got the Frisbee.
We got that's a fairway driver, and this is a putter. So
nice.
There you go.
It's a good thing we're on video. If you said, "Here's my putter" on ours without video, would have been a little skeptical.
That's a different kind of podcast, Alex. I don't think we're going to venture there.
Oh man.
Oh, we are absolutely honored to have both of you guys on and to have you
likewise
guys as friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's so cool that we kind of started this journey together, and from like two different types of scenarios. You know, we you know, it's kind of the same situation. We actually had never met, as we mentioned on your podcast, until a couple months after we started this.
Yeah.
And you know, we were honored to be able to, I was able to see, I think it was just out. I don't know if I saw both. Were you both, I didn't know if I saw you, Mark, at Delaware, even though we were down there.
Yeah, it was just quick.
Yeah.
You know,
So it was
right
quick.
at the end.
Yeah. And I made a joke about it on a podcast, I think. And it was, you know, these guys didn't remember, so you must not have heard it, or you're mad and you're not going to bring it up. But yeah, you're right. LP and so many Pinty Series drivers and drivers all over this country are so classy. At the Nationals, we had 70 late models there from all over North America, and there was not a bad apple. So our sport is in great hands, that's for sure. But the LP thing, you didn't see Mark probably, but he was there. He did come and say hi.
Yeah, I was talking to Mark a bit. I think we were paired off or something there a little bit.
You guys are all up on LP, and Mark wanted to meet
That's
him.
what I was saying. Maybe that's why LP left us. He wanted to go say to Mark.
Well, I said to Mark, I said, I don't know if you're going to get a chance to meet him. Graydon and Cam K are over there. They're on him like snot to a hot stove.
Yeah, you did say that.
We were in there like dirty shirts.
Yeah, it was eyes wide open. Couldn't believe that we were standing next to a champion right after. But this is funny because the same experience that Mark had was the same experience that I had when I went to Sunset, and I was all by myself. Because the way that the rules were at the time, and he talked to me like he had known me for 5 years, 10 years. You know, it was like unbelievable. And that's the same thing that I find with a lot of the people in the racing community is their family, and they treat you like family. And I don't think either one of us would trade it for the world. I mean, it's been amazing, and to have you guys coming on with the journey the exact same time as us is awesome. So definitely for fans of Stickers and Scuffs, you're going to become fans of Driver in Deep as well. You guys, let's talk about how often you guys post and where people can find you on social media.
Don't want me to take that, Alex?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
All right.
Well, you're taking a big breath in, so I thought you were ready to spew.
Well, we try to do a podcast every week, you know, but our lives are busy. Sometimes, you know, recently I've been away. We haven't been able, you know, and believe me, we hear it too. From people that say, "Where's my podcast?" And I'm like, we're trying. We're just, you know, sometimes it's difficult. We do the best we can to do it once a week, but I think we're aiming for about 40 a year. And the best place to find us is wingnutsports.com. If you go there, you can find everything else we do. And we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Although I'm not the best with Instagram, Alex You know, he does some dance videos, so he's a little better than me.
Ooh.
Yeah, they just haven't been posted yet.
Yeah.
Are they allowed to be posted?
Yeah.
I don't know how to use Instagram, so I'm not going to bother.
What was the last one you did? Small waist, pretty face, big bank. Was that it? Yeah, I think so.
This is where it gets taken down for violation, right?
Yeah.
Cam, you and Gray are lucky because you live so far apart that you don't get a chance. Like, you're never going to get tired of that guy.
Well,
Here we are, you know, early in the week, and I got to see him again, and he lives like 20 minutes down the road. So
Yeah.
No, it's anytime we see each other, it's like a big old reunion. So
that's awesome.
yeah. But
well, you guys do great, man. We appreciate you having us on.
Anytime, you guys are always
And
welcome.
you know, getting
thanks
back to
for coming.
Hinchcliffe, getting back to Hinchcliffe, like you say, personally, I could care less. It'd be great for the sport, good for the city. But you know, for me, one thing for me is that I just think we have so many stars that we need to promote the stars we have. I don't think the Pinty series or the APC series or any other series, in my opinion, except for maybe selling tickets, need anybody to bump up their talents and their skill level. That's just my opinion. I think we have the stars. We just need to make them stars.
Yep.
Well said.
I'm back.
You're really loud.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up there. Thank you for
like
tuning
Mark
in.
said, he's the
There we
tech
go.
guy.
Sometimes technology fails you, right?
Uh,
Thanks for tuning in to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.
See you
We'll
guys
see you
at the
next
Thank you,
track.
guys.